Improvement Corporation meeting for June 20th, 2022. Greg Appel is going to lead us in the invocation.
Please bow with me in prayer. Our Heavenly Father, you have blessed us in so many ways, and we just pause right now and acknowledge you, and we thank you for your many blessings. We ask always for your guidance, for your wisdom as we deliberate and make decisions to try to do things that improve our community even more. And Lord, we just thank you for allowing us to be here, allowing us to serve this community, and we pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Greg. Do we have anybody signed up to speak?
No, sir.
All right, I'll entertain a motion for approval of the minutes of our EIC meeting held on May 16th, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, raise your hand. Approved. And then also same thing for the meeting minutes for June 7th, 2022.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor, raise your hand. That also is approved. Okay, Mr. Salinas, can you give us an update?
Mr. Chair, members of the board, I'll go ahead and get started with some of our local economic indicators. As far as our unemployment rate, we're at about 3.3% for the month of May. That's up from 3% in April and 3.3% in March. So basically, we're officially back to pre-pandemic levels, and that's from 2 years ago. Moving on to some different indicators, apartment rents. They have increased by 15% nationally. That's in a span of 1 year. The average listed rent for an apartment right now, and for the first time ever, has actually exceeded $2,000 per month. And so in some major markets, it's actually a lot more. So Austin and Nashville recorded the highest ones at 33% over the last year. So again, we're going to be meeting with some local developers to just kind of get a better handle on rents, because I know they've increased here locally as well. We're figuring it's somewhere between 13 to 18%, but again, we'll meet with some of the developers just to get a better handle on that, and also on demand, and where's Kerrville in the mix, and where are some of the people coming from, you know, because we have some data as far as people that are walking into our office, as well as the chamber office, but also kind of hearing from them. I mean, where are they fielding calls from as well? Moving on to project activity. Project Huey, that is actually a company that recently announced as Rice Aircraft Services. It's an aviation maintenance repair company specifically for helicopters. They're from Sacramento, California. It's a project that we worked on actually more than a year ago, about a year and a half ago. They were looking at several sites in the hill country, and very similar to other projects from the West Coast. They were very attracted to the business environment in Texas. They had a high affinity for the hill country, and what they liked about Kerrville was the Kerrville Airport was the open space and the opportunity for growth there, not just for them, but for the cluster of companies that are coming into that area. They said at the time they're expecting to create about 30 jobs over the next few years, and the huge part of their business is actually export. So they export for the foreign market, specifically in Latin America. And what I like about this project is that whole snowball effect. So, you know, you've heard me say, or heard us say in the past, that, you know, big fish draw other fish. So we've had some success with, obviously, starting with Killdeer and some of the other smaller companies. So again, this is a result of, you know, companies looking to see where those aviation clusters are being formed.
Gil, do you happen to know how many people they'll employ?
There right now is just a handful of employees, but they said they would be at about 30 over the next 3 to 5 years. You know, paying market wages, which usually are above county average wages. Project Social, that's a company that we're working with. They're in the medical and health sector. So we actually worked with them last year when they were looking to expand, and they've already have a presence in the hill country, and so they purchased a building last year. They've got about 60 employees in that particular area, but now they're in need of actually expanding. So we're working them right now to see where and how they can expand. They've got about 450 employees in the hill country. 50 of those are here, so they're looking to add some more. and those are paying upward about $20 in hourly wages. Project ACE, that is a company that I reported on a few months ago. It's a UAV company from the Midwest. It's a 300-person operation. It's starting to gain some traction now. They pay about $120,000 in annual wages. So, and they require a very high skill set as far as their workers. So we've been in discussions with Schreiner, and they've met with the company and trying to see how we can develop that pipeline for them. So great opportunity for our university as well as our community college. And again, no different than the other ones. We're in competition with other cities and with this project specifically in the Central Texas area. Moving on to Killdeer, so they've actually hired another cohort of employees last week. I think they hired another 7. And it's interesting because I'm always because finding workers right now is a challenge, and not just us, it's throughout the entire state. And so they said they get a steady stream of, between 5 to 10 applications a week, which might not seem like a lot, but to me it's like, hey, that's actually pretty good. So they hired 7. They're currently training them, so that brings their total to 51 employees. Originally, they anticipated to be between 50 to 60 employees by the end of the calendar year, which they've officially hit that target, but they are very likely to surpass that here in the next 2 to 3 months. And again, now the workload that they have specifically from the main client that they have in San Antonio, and my experience with other companies in the past that come in from outside of the state and they come into Texas, once they come in here, their workload increases by 50 up to 100% within the first 2 years. And I remember telling the company this is going to happen, and that's exactly where they're at right now. So we're working with other local companies, suppliers, to engage with them because we want to keep those dollars and expand our local supplier base and help Killdeer as well. I think
Is there any indication that you're going to outgrow their facility before their new facility is ready?
Yeah. Yes. A way around that is adding additional shifts, and I think they're starting to do that already. So, once they get to 24-hour shifts and working on weekends, they've officially outgrown it. I'm not saying they're there, but they're definitely trending in that direction. Probably over a year or so. On the relationship marketing side with Killdeer, we facilitated a discussion between them and the governor's office. And as a result of that, they're going to be accompanying the governor's office to the Farnborough Air Show in London, England. And actually, that's next month. So that's the biggest air show in the world. And so they've been asked, by the governor's office to go ahead and go with them. So what that means is that Kerrville is going to be basically branded at a very international level. So they're going to be in a Texas booth, and where they have the booths for all of the different countries around the world. And these countries are out there promoting, inbound investment. So you've got all these companies, aerospace and aviation companies, meeting with these different countries. One of those is the U.S. The U.S. Select USA has a booth there. But Texas being Texas actually has one booth just for itself amongst all the countries. Killdeer will be there, so that's a great opportunity for Killdeer, knowing that we're going to be out there. Not me, but them representing Kerrville. Moving on to business retention and expansion, we've worked with a couple, actually 3 local entrepreneurs that were looking to establish some businesses. One is in the spirits industry. So they're looking at setting up shop here, and I think there's an announcement here in the next couple of months. It's in the craft ag, looking at some partnerships with Schreiner and Texas wineries as well. And just exciting to see how that craft ag is really starting to grow for us, and it's one of our target sectors as well. We worked with a couple of auto technicians that came in, entrepreneurs. They needed help with their business plan, projections, so on and so forth. And as part of the entrepreneur center that we have, we'll take time to meet with them. It's like, hey, let's walk you through the process so they can launch a business. So that's exactly where they're at right now. Very appreciative of that. And then we're also working with another entrepreneur, regional entrepreneur, that's looking at a family entertainment center. Still very, very preliminary. And this is the 3rd one we've hosted in the last 2 years. And I will say that this is the one that's actually starting to gain some traction. So hopefully in the next month or 2 months, we'll have some more information on that one. Our industry roundtable, we hosted the second quarterly industry roundtable 2 weeks ago. That was Mr. AJ Rodriguez of the Texas 2036. It's an legislative advocacy group. We had some great discussions as far as challenges that Texas is facing as a state, how best to prepare for that growth, and how really Kerrville is positioned to capture a lot of that growth coming in from the Austin and San Antonio area. In addition to officials from Kerrville and Kerr County, we had officials from Kendall, Gillespie, Real or Rio, I don't know how you pronounce one of the two, and Uvalde counties as part of our efforts in just being more of a regional entity, regional collaboration efforts. Next roundtable, that is for September. Hold on, I got another page here. All right, met with Dr. McCormick at Schreiner University, actually a few times in the last month and a half. We're looking at some federal grant opportunities, specifically in the STEMS field and economic development. And in addition to that, both Dr. McCormick and myself met with the president of Bismarck State College in North Dakota. He was down here visiting the Killdeer facility and again, just kind of as an extension of North Dakota, working with him here. And took the opportunity to meet with him as well as Schreiner, looking at some possible partnerships, again, as it relates to workforce, talent for that company, and also looking at the drone project that I mentioned before, knowing that it's from the Midwest, and that's something that they do as well, looking at some partnerships there. Ricardo Rendon, he's with the Texas Workforce Commission. We've met with him a couple times now. He's a regional rep. He's based out of San Antonio. He's brought in a couple of the Austin reps as well. So as a result of those meetings, we provided a community tour. We're looking at ideas and tapping into some of their workforce funds. So we're now actually actively developing a Kerrville specific program. Him coming in with some of the ideas and also some of the ideas from stakeholder retreat. So the wheels are turning in that regard. Some of the other activity and events, last month we hosted the Career Day Signing Showcase, where we had more than 30 high school seniors. They did a ceremonial signing with some of our local employers. And I think I've mentioned this before. It's very similar to when athletes sign. They announce and they sign for whatever college they're going to go play for. We do the same thing, but now with industry. So those that were included were Kerrville ISD. There were 3 from there, 9 from Centerpoint ISD, 11 from Ingram ISD. Some of the trades were welding, plumbing, electricians, construction, dental assistants, and actually we had a handful of them in culinary management. And again, the ones that we're highlighting are the ones that are actually staying here because a lot of them leave. So the school districts now said, how can we make this event bigger for next year? Because we want to, keep our kids here in the area. Top 40 submissions for that is actually next Monday, June 27th at kerredc.com. So again, we're looking for candidates over a 9-county region in the Hill Country. And that's specifically for first responders this time around, people in the service sector and those that have some inspirational stories. So that's in kerredc.com. The Business Innovation Forum, that's scheduled for October, and we're going to start heavily promoting it next month. That's in conjunction with the Office of the Governor. They're going to be hosting their small business series conference. So the first part of the day is them, and they'll be attracting about 250 people and about 100 companies that are going to be setting up there as well. And then the second half is us with our lineup of speakers, very similar to last year. And then we'll close out with a we'll close out with a mixer at the Trailhead Beer and Garden. Okay, so now wrapping up here, the stakeholder retreat, which some of y'all were a part of. That was 2 weeks ago today. So we had representatives from EIC, City Council, County Commission, KPUB, and the KDC. So those are my 5 stakeholder groups. We had some meaningful discussions about economic development, some of the community challenges as it pertains to business and industry, and specifically workforce or lack thereof. Making sure how we keep that pipeline at least somewhat filled here in the next few years. External variables that affect workforce, to no surprise, housing, child daycare, and retiree population. So some of the things that we're looking at. And again, these are not core. This is not the core of what we do, but we're definitely in a supporting role, and we'll come out of our, lane to make sure that we address those as well. Next steps: consultants will be crunching the data, gathering information from some of the one-on-one interviews and the retreat itself, and creating a strategic plan. We'll have a draft for next month, and then in September, October, they'll deliver the final plan. So keep in mind that we've been working off of a roadmap from 3 years ago, very different from the actual strategic plan. Roadmap in 2018, the performance metrics back then were creating a marketing program, branding the KDC, launching a BRE program, corporate recruitment, and if possible, landing on some projects. But most importantly, I remember what came out of that retreat 3 years ago was, and I had just gone here, was creating and maintaining an independent economic development organization with consistency in leadership, staff, and operations. So fast forward to today, now we're ready to really take it to the next level. At the next EIC meeting, we'll be providing an update on that, the new draft plan with our new key performance deliverables, and that'll be a part of the supporting documentation for our budget request. That'll be at the next month meeting for fiscal year 2022-2023. And in closing, we'll probably have an announcement later this week, both through the state as well as the Texas Economic Development Council, as far as partnership and recognition for some of the things that we're working on and now moving forward. So that'll be later this week. That concludes my report. I'm happy to answer any questions.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Is there any way you can piggyback on Killdeer at Farnborough?
Hadn't thought about it, but so what the governor's office back then used to do, they used to have EDOs, chambers, attend those. But then they switched the model and they said, you all can go as well, but now we want to focus on the businesses that you recruited because we want to highlight those, what was done by the community to help them. And in turn, they become their biggest spokespeople. So the answer is a yes, but the focus is more on the companies.
As you know, that's a great show opportunity for aviation. If Killdeer, if Kristen or other people there could carry some water for you, it would be incredible publicity.
All the decision makers are there. They're there it's a week-long event. They're there Monday, and by Tuesday noon, they're gone. So it's a rat race trying to get on their calendars to schedule those meetings.
That's probably the most significant air show in the world.
Yeah, it is. It is. And I've been there a few times, and what I used to do was a three-pronged approach. One is whatever local aerospace aviation companies you have that are headquartered somewhere else, either in the U.S. or in the world, have meetings with them as part of your BRE, just to kind of like say, hello, here we are. Is there something you need at our local district or with our community? And then the other one was recruitment. So setting up meetings with C-level executives of these major companies. Very successful in doing that because you get 10, 15 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, and boom, you do your pitch. And then the other one was all the trade magazines are there, all the trade publications, and you'd be surprised how easy it is I should say how difficult it is, right? To set up these interviews. So by the time you leave, you've done a lot. But anyways, I'm giving away my trade secrets, but that's how you get things done there and really talk about recruiting companies.
Okay, well, thank you, Gil.
All right.
Good report.
Thank you.
Appreciate all the good work.
Thanks.
All right, Mr. Hornets, do you have a EIC project status update for us?
So I can, for the sake of everybody who's new, and welcome. I am not EA Hobby, so just in case you were wondering. So you should have a list in your packets. each month about projects that EIC has contributed to or in the past that are ongoing, completed, in progress. And usually what we'll do is just list those projects out and kind of give you a status update on whether or not they're done, we got some issues with them or whatever. So the first of those is that Tranquility Island electrical infrastructure. We're working through some issues with engineering department. Costs are really just kind of out of control right now, and that's been a big challenge for everybody. If Stuart was here, he'd be talking to us about price for pipe in the morning is not the same in the afternoon kind of thing. And so we're just trying to knock down a couple of those things, but I think that should be moving its way along, and hopefully next month we'll come back with some real good news on that. Airport improvements. Any of you who've been keeping track of the airport, they've had quite a few projects in the pipeline. One of which has had some issues with TxDOT that we've been navigating back and forth on, and their deadlines have sort of. TxDOT sometimes shifts the goalpost on us without telling us, and then shifts it back again, and then we're all left kind of scrambling, and it makes for an interesting day. And so Mary and her team have been working real hard on a new T-hanger project. And again, the scope of that project, as it was originally envisioned, was I think 12 hangars total. And the scope of that project, because of the cost, has just diminished and diminished and diminished. And so we're hoping to get that one to the goal line as fast as we can, so that way we can certainly benefit from the dollars as to their purchasing power today, and not wait another 6 months or another 6 months.
So 4 hangers now?
It's 4 hangers now, and I'm hopeful that it stays 4 hangers. Killdeer Mountain Manufacturing. So we'll be talking about that one later as a part of the agenda. But again, that project is shifting, right, as the dollars change over time, and so we're working as fast as we can to help get them to their facility. And Gil and his folks have been just phenomenal at helping get us to this point. But they are at a facility out at the edge of town, if everybody doesn't know yet, out towards Ingram, right? And they have that property that's down towards the airport, right across the street there. And so, again, we will talk about that one here in a little bit. The last one is Peterson Medical's campus center infrastructure. I don't really have a whole lot on that at this point. I think Corey and his folks are still sussing out all the things that they've got to get done. And hopefully we can get something back to you next month, and we'll start to see some movement out there. That's all I got for now.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? All right, thank you very much. All right, move on to our next item on the agenda, our monthly financial report.
Hello, good afternoon. Happy Father's Day to all the gentlemen.
Thank you.
We'll be discussing the May financials of 2022. Okay, so here your first slide is your statement of activities. And we'll be looking at the current period and the columns to the right there. So the first revenue there is your sales tax, and it came in at $444,000 for the month. And this is pretty flat with May 2021. It was less than a 1% increase. And just dissecting our comptroller report, we've found that 2 of the top sales taxpayers just had lower revenues this month, or for this particular period. And just to keep in mind that they fall in that top 5, so a change in the top five taxpayers. I cannot talk today, I'm sorry. So any adjustment, any change in them is going to affect us, quite some. So that we didn't see a lot of change there because we had lower revenues. So year-to-date collected is $3,140,000 to date, and based on budget, we estimated you to be at $2.6 million. So you surpassed that by $460,000 for the year. We have received June sales tax, and that came in at $413,000, and that right now is a 12% increase over June 2021. And we're still looking through that comptroller report to see if there's anything that stands out. Down to your next revenue is your interest income. So May earned $4,010, and $24.34 of that is in your tax pool account. So interest rates did go up on that, and then $15.75 on your commercial paper investment we purchased for you in May. Down to the next section is your expenditures. So you have your monthly administrative fees to the city for $16,250, and then your debt transfer of $90,781. And then the next line below that is your investment purchase you made in May for $990,000. So overall current period net position is a negative $649,000, but that's because of that large cash that went out the door for that purchase. But overall for the year, you're at $666,000 to the good net position.
Investment purchase is the commercial paper?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
All right, here on your cash flow, first column there is your activity for October through the end of May, and your cash balance there at the bottom is $3,404,000. And then your columns to the right are the remainder of the revenues for the year and your budgeted expenditures and your projects. And then you have your cash balances there at the bottom of what we anticipate those to be. All that's been adjusted based on trends coming in. Next month, we should have this forecasted out into the new year. We're just trying to work through a few last budget numbers and whatnot so that we can start doing those projections from month to month or quarter to quarter. All right, and then your last slide is your financial analysis. So project balances there at the top. Not a lot of activity for those. Your second chart is your sales tax, and that's showing your budget actuals and your comparisons to last year. And then on the bottom chart is your tax pool balance with the $3.4 million, and then the current market value of that commercial paper you purchased at $992,000. So for the month of May, your average yield in the pool account was 0.81% or 81 basis points, and today it's earning 1.37%. So just in the 3-week span from closing May to now, it's grown 56 basis points. And as you may know, the Feds met last week, and they unanimously voted to raise the rates by 75.75%. So they're making a lot of movement changes, trying to straighten out this economy. Okay, any questions?
Questions? Nope. Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
All right, we move on to item 6A, nomination and election of officers for EIC. Welcome, Kyle. Welcome, John. Welcome back, Gary. Let's start with the president's office. We have any nominations for that? Okay.
Second.
Anybody else want to volunteer? Okay. I've got a motion and a second for me to serve as president, which I'll gladly serve again for another year. All those in favor, raise your hand. Okay, that's approved. And now nominations for vice president. I'll nominate Danny, who's currently serving as vice president, and return the favor.
Okay.
A second.
All those in favor of Danny serving as vice president, raise your hand. Okay, that's also approved. And now secretary. Who is our secretary now?
Nominate Keisha.
All those in favor?
Moving on.
Would you be willing to serve for another year?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Whatever you guys need.
all right. Can I get a motion and second on that?
So moved.
Motion and second, all those in favor? All right, that's approved. And treasurer? All right. We'll continue. We need to, let's go ahead and get a motion on that. Motion second, all those in favor, raise your hand. All right, you get to serve for another year. Great, thank you. Next item on the agenda is to nominate and approve the EIC representative to the KEDC. Who was that last year? Was it Maggie? Okay, so we've got that one in the Go team. Anybody interested in being the KEDC representative?
Who did the Go team last year?
Dawn did.
John? Go team.
Mhm. I guess let me first ask, do y'all understand, or do y'all want me to explain what those positions are?
I know EDC, but I don't know Go Team, so.
So Go Team is, Gil, why don't you explain Go Team?
So part of the, whenever we're working a project, whether it's us, the city, and it's actually going to go through the incentives process, the first step's either the city, the KEDC, we do the due diligence, so on and so forth, and put a packet together. And then we send it to the GO team. So the GO team is, KEDC has one rep. I think the chamber has another rep, or they used to. And then there's the EIC, city, and the county commission as well. And then they get together, then they review the project. So they have the power to either the project doesn't move forward or it does. And once it does, then it comes to the EIC. So they're the ones that vet the project after we vetted it and before the EIC gets it.
Do they have regular meetings or?
Yeah, it's just whenever there's a project. So sometimes,
As needed.
and yeah, as needed. As in my last 3 years, the first year was like 5 or 6 times, and then this fiscal year has been only once. So it just depends.
An EDC meets? how
Okay,
often?
the KEDC?
Yeah.
Yeah, once a month. So it's the first Monday of the month.
Is it morning, noon, afternoon?
It's at noon.
At noon.
It's a noon meeting. We usually meet at the Cape Pub. It's the easiest place for all of us to get together. And we usually have pretty good attendance.
All right, anybody interested in being the KEDC representative?
Oh, well.
Okay. I'll move that Greg serve in that role. Or,
You or who?
oh, I'm sorry, did I miss you, John?
Go ahead.
I thought it was John.
No, Greg,
Oh, go ahead.
you want to,
No, I'm fine. I just didn't
Oh, I'm sorry.
There were two hands.
see anybody else raising their
You willing to
hands.
do that, John?
I think they have an arm wrestle.
Okay,
Rock, paper, scissors.
I'll move that John be appointed as our KEDC representative.
Second.
All those in favor, raise your hand. All right, that motion carries. And now Go Team. Anybody interested in that? Kyle, you?
I'll be happy to do it.
Okay.
Super.
All right, I'll move that Kyle be appointed as our Go Team representative.
Second.
All those in favor, raise your hand. Also approved. All right. Next,
Oh, you know what, can I say something?
Yeah.
I just want to thank you guys for stepping up and filling out the applications. Council had, was it five or six really good applicants? So I'm very excited that you all accepted and to be rejoining us and joining us. So.
Looking forward to it.
yeah, thank
Thank
you
you.
guys. All right, next, I'll move that we go into executive session under 551, 071, 072, and 087 to discuss workforce housing, development projects, the lien holders agreement with regard to Killdeer, and some amendments to the development grant and incentive agreement. I get a second? Okay. All right. We are adjourned into executive session at 4:33. We're back in our meeting, 5:31. I'm going to make a motion again that we set a public hearing for our July meeting to consider a economic incentive agreement with Lennar Homes and instruct staff to continue working on developing that agreement and negotiating its terms. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, raise your hand. That motion carries unanimously. I noted that Greg Appel had to leave, but we still have a quorum. Okay, now we are adjourned at 5:31.